Hi everyone. This week we will spend our time together on Proverbs 29 verse 11 as we continue on this month's messages on anger. I'm going to read translations from both the NIV and NKJV. The NIV translation says, "A fool gives vent to his anger, but a wise man keeps himself under control." This is what I would call keeping your cool. The NKJV says, "A fool vents all his feelings, but a wise man holds them back." I see this as hold your thought. I want to discuss two aspects on this verse. The first is abortion, and the second is on my career as a civil engineer. While they may seem to be two completely different topics, anger in both cases is something we need to focus on. The Roe v. Wade decision issued by the Supreme Court on January 22, 1973, where women were given the right to an abortion and to take the life of their unborn child, has been a point of contention for almost 50 years. For us who support that life begins at conception, we understand that when we read Proverbs 6 verses 16 and 17, where it says that the Lord hates hands that shed innocent blood, we can get very angry at people who consider themselves pro-choice. We know the damage and pain that an abortion can cause not only to the unborn child, but also to the mother and father who have gone through this traumatic experience in taking the precious life. However, we have to be careful on how we approach this matter and not show unrighteous anger to those who do not understand the ramifications of what an abortion can do. In addition, we need to approach the pregnant mother who is scared and in a crisis situation where she doesn't know where to turn for help, or has a boyfriend or even a family member who just wants her to get rid of the baby. With the love of Jesus, and that the baby that they are carrying inside of them is a gift from God. As we have observed Sanctity of Life Sunday, please continue to pray for the men and women who are on the front lines of the pro-life movement, especially those who are involved with Genesis Women's Clinic and the many pregnancy care centers across the U.S. who are showing Christ's love to these women. Moving on to my second point, in my career as a civil engineer, I have spent time working on both the construction and design sides of the profession, and tempers can flare often. I worked for a contractor when I first got out of college, and during those couple of years in working in the construction industry, I learned curse words that I never knew existed and in different languages. It was an industry where the louder and angrier you were, the more respect you got. Honestly, the design side is not that much different. It has its fair share of angry people too. Unforeseen issues in the field, scope changes, dealing with the client, and in some cases interacting with the public and elected officials who may not understand the process that we go through to get design plans out to construction can sometimes drive you nuts. When things don't go according to our plans, our flesh wants to start yelling at anything and anyone within an earshot of our frustration. But we have to remember that God is in control. Proverbs 16:9 is a great example of that. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Anger can have consequences if we don't handle it properly. In Numbers chapter 20, we read where Moses was told by the Lord to speak to the rock and water would come out of it. However, in Moses' anger, because of the complaining of the Israelites for bringing them out of Egypt, Moses strikes the rock, and while water did pour out, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust me enough to honor me as holy in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this community into the land I have given." However, if we keep our cool, you can take a difficult situation, turn it into a positive outcome, and in my case, gain a friend, which I'll share with you. I had a project which I was managing that required patchwork on a bridge. The field inspector, who was a young engineer, was not fully aware of the quantity of patchwork that was in the contract and authorized the contractor to keep working since they kept finding areas that needed patching. It turned out they did 3 times the amount of work that was originally authorized in the contract. This turned out to be $50,000 in additional work that was owed to them. When I found out that they did this work, we had to tell my boss about it and then call the client to inform them of the work that was done. The inspector was sick about it, and when we called the client afterwards, I took him into the conference room and had a conversation about the matter. During the conversation, I gave him a set of plans on a project I did early in my career where I missed a bid item on the contract and cost PennDOT $100,000 and said, here's my six-figure mistake. And then proceeded to put my feet up on the conference room table while giving him a lesson on that we all make mistakes, learn from them, and don't do it again. He learned a valuable lesson that day, and I gained a brother. I found out he was a believer, and I still keep in touch with him regularly. The passage is clear. Whether at work or talking in person who is pro-abortion, we need to show professionalism, love, and kindness in pressure situations. Remember, don't let the devil get a hold of you, and always build your foundation on the rock. Remain calm and know that the Lord is with you always.